The Wooden Railway Adventures of Thomas the Tank Engine, Episode 33, A Nightmare on Sodor Street. It was Halloween on the island of Sodor, and everyone was happy. The children were out trick-or-treating, and the engines were telling spooky stories. Some engines were out doing late-night work. Splatter and Dodge were at the docks getting ready to collect a late-night delivery. They parked their flatbeds in a siding and went on to the other line to wait for Bolstro to arrive. As they were waiting, Salty pulled out of the shed. "Would you two like to hear a scary story?" he said. "Scary story? How scary?" asked Splatter. "Oh, that just depends on what you guys think of it," said Salty. "It's about the flatbeds of fear." "Oh, not this again," said Cranky crossly. Salty just ignored Cranky and began the story. "A long time ago, here on the island," said Salty, "an engine was pulling a train of flatbeds up a hill. The flatbeds broke away and they were never seen again, but legend says that they still roam the rails looking for an engine to couple up to." "Oh, that's so scary," said Splatter. "I'm getting goosebumps. Actually, do engines get goosebumps?" "You call that a scary story?" said Dodge. "We'll tell you a scary story. A long time ago on the other railway, a green diesel was pulling some empty freight cars into the docks. Quite expectedly, the cars were being reckless, and they pushed the green diesel off the end of the track and they all went down into the ocean. The cars were hoisted safely from the sea, but the diesel was lost. So guess what? The trucks were pushed back into the water as punishment, and they were swept away by the current. But now, rumor has it that the trucks washed up on the shores of Sodor, and they now roam the rails, looking for other engines to push into the sea. People call them the trucks from the Black Lagoon. Salty didn't really find this scary, but Porter was actually a little spooked. At that moment, Bolstro came in with the late-night delivery of eggs. Suddenly, Bolstro saw something. "Hello there." Bolstro was so spooked that he swerved and began to tip over, and the crates of eggs dumped into the sea. "Oh, way to go, Bolstro," said Cranky. "We won't be able to get a new delivery of eggs until tomorrow." "Splatter, Dodge, you'll have to take those flatbeds back to the yard. We have another train coming in, and those flatbeds can't be in the way." "Alright," said Splatter and Dodge. And they rolled away with the flatbeds. At the yard, Stafford was collecting trucks. "Alright, you miserable trucks," he said. "Let's get a move on." He looked back at the 5 trucks lined up behind him. "I've never seen those trucks before," he said. "Oh, those are some new recruits," said Scruffy. "They all have adjectives for names." "I'm gleeful. I'm miserable. I'm ridiculous. I'm spooky. I'm allergic. Achoo!" The trucks laughed and laughed. Stafford buffered up to the new trucks and set off. "Oh no, it's the trucks from the Black Lagoon. Oh, I'm getting out of here." Oh, that's smart. Hello. Ah! Oh my goodness, that's terrifying. Hey Max, do you remember that one Halloween when we thought we saw the one-eyed truck in the forest, but it was really Thomas? Yeah, I remember that. That was quite embarrassing. As Max and Monty drove along, they suddenly saw a single headlamp shining at them. It could only be one thing. It's the one-eyed truck, shouted Monty, and the two dump trucks raced backwards. They didn't realize that the single headlight was only from Joe, the motorcycle. Meanwhile, Splatter and Dodge were going up a hill on their way to the yard. But just then, the flatbeds broke away. At Olfstead Castle, James, Harvey, Gator, Percy, Stephen, Millie, Fearless Freddy, Peter Sam, and Mike were all telling spooky stories. "Alright," said Benny the Castle Crane. "That's enough scary stories for tonight. If we keep this up, no one will get any sleep tonight. We've got a busy day tomorrow, since it's the beginning of a new month. So get some rest, everybody." And everyone went to sleep. No sooner had the engines closed their eyes when a line of flatbeds came racing out of the tunnel. The trucks raced into the castle and smashed into Gator, knocking him off the track. The engines awoke with a start, but they couldn't see anything because there weren't any lights on. "What was that?" asked Harvey. "It's the Phantom Express," shouted Percy. "That's it, I'm getting out of here," said James. James was planning to go forward, but he accidentally went in reverse. His ballast truck hit the buffers and derailed and knocked Mike off the track. "Everyone, calm down," said Benny. "It's just some flatbeds." "The flatbeds of fear," said James, and this time he raced forward. But his ballast truck was still off the rails, so as James rounded the bend, the ballast truck tipped off the line and took James with it. Sir Topham Hatt and Richard had surveyed the accident. "Oh boy," said the Tom Hatt. "This is a Halloween to forget. Too many shrieks and scares, and too many engines damaged from being spooked. Porter, James, Mike, and Gator." Now, Father," said Richard. "At least nobody was hurt. Well, nobody was hurt severely. But we can just forgive and forget, you might say." "Yeah, you're right," said Tom Hatt. And Sir Topham Hatt and Richard went back home. "Imagine," chuckled Percy, "me thinking that noise was the Phantom Express. Yeah, that is pretty funny when you stop and think about it," said Stephen.